Okay, so I decided I wanted to go over with you guys what shoes to wear for what type of training. Now, with my clients, I've noticed that they've been wearing the same shoe to train in as they do to run in. Now, I made the same mistake when I first started training, doing that, but you want to have two different types of shoes for your two different styles of training. So you're not going to use the same shoe to train in as you do run in, especially if you're running long distance. Now, if you're running like short distance, half miles, maybe even up to 1.5, 2 miles, you can get away with a training shoe. But if you're going past 2 miles, you really want to invest in a running shoe. So, and then you're gonna, like, if you like to wear tennis shoes, you don't want to wear your training shoes or your running shoes as your style shoes. Just because what happens is you'll wear out your sole a lot faster, and it wears differently for each style of training or just like lifestyle base. So I really recommend having a training shoe, a running shoe, and then the shoes that you want to go out in. Now, if you wear your training shoes out every now and then, that's not that big of a deal. But if you are constantly wearing the same shoe for training, running, and to go out lifestyle based, to run errands and things like that, you're going to wear your shoes out a lot faster, and you're going to tend to come across a lot of problems like knee issues, hip issues, things like that. So I highly recommend getting specific shoes for your specific styles of training. I'm going to go over the styles that I have found that I like and that I recommend to my clients. So I'm going to start with training. With training shoes, what I like to tell my clients is you want to find a training shoe where the sole is completely level. So what I mean by that is when I first started training, I started with New Balance. So these are the New Balance Vibram style shoe. This is one of the first ones that came out. But you can see the sole is pretty much level across. Now, this is a really lightweight shoe. I really liked it. It's almost like a barefoot shoe because it has that 5-finger Vibram style weight to it, but it's not the 5-finger shoe. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the 5-finger shoe. This came out a while back. This is great for like barefoot people, or like if you're just doing squats or deadlifting and you really want to shift your weight all into that heel area or the feet and claw the floor. So it's really good to have a barefoot shoe for things like that. Or if you're like flat-footed and you don't have like a heel, like an arch, a lot of people tend to go for the barefoot shoe. But this is the first training shoe that I started with, and it was amazing. It's really lightweight, like I was saying. Cost efficient. You can find them on Amazon, $40 to $60 now, or you can buy them new. New will cost you about $100. The second style of training shoe that I went with was the Reebok Nano. Now, once again, that sole is completely level across the entire shoe. The Reebok Nano, what I liked about it was it had a wider toe area. So if you have wider feet, the Reebok Nanos are really good when it comes to that. Very comfortable, durable. These will cost you about $100 to $120 new. You can find them again on Amazon for anywhere from $40 to $60, but these are great. These shoes actually will tell you when it's time to retire them. So when you first start wearing them, you're gonna feel like really comfortable and like, wow, my hips, my knees they're not hurting anymore, things like that. But then about 6 to 8 months in, if you're constantly training consistently, you'll start to feel like some knee tension, things like that. So these shoes, the sole tends to wear out kind of quickly, but it does tell you, like, your body starts to tell you that, hey, the sole's not where it needs to be. But these are another great choice. My all-time favorite right now are the Nobles. Once again, that sole is all the way across the same level. Now, the reason I recommend the same level sole is to help with balance. So when you're squatting, a lot of times when you're using like a running shoe, the sole has a lot more in the back than it does in the front. So when that happens and you're squatting, this will push you up, pushing you onto your tippy toes when you squat. So it throws your squat off. Whereas if you have a level shoe, it allows you to hit your squats, to hit, you know, your exercises on point, keeping your form better versus having like a running shoe with a bigger sole in the back and smaller in the front. I'll show you when I come to the running shoes. But the Nobles, they will cost you about $120. These are only available online through the nobleproject.com. They don't really have any clearances, but I do like it. It's a kind of a cross between the New Balance and the Reebok, where it's lightweight, but it still has that wide toe area. Now, when ordering training shoes, you always want to order a minimum of a half size to a full size bigger. And the reason for that is during training, your foot will swell. There's water retention, and if you're wearing the exact size of shoe that you need, so say you're a size 7 and you buy a size 7 in a training shoe, the top of the foot is going to push up against the shoe once it starts to swell, even probably against the toe area, and it'll cause a lot of damage. Plantar fasciitis, I think that's how you say it. Some pain in the top of the foot, the lower arch of the foot, as well as maybe shin splints, things like that. So you definitely want to order a minimum of a half size bigger to a full size bigger when ordering training shoes. And I recommend that with running shoes as well. So when you're picking out a running shoe, always go with minimum of a half size to a full size bigger. Now for me, with running shoes, I've tried a couple pairs. I've tried Asics. A lot of people like Asics, but unfortunately for me, they are really heavy. And when choosing a running shoe, I highly recommend going to a specialist. So there's a lot of stores in town that will evaluate your stride. And everybody runs differently. So don't just go to the store and say, oh, this is a cute running shoe, I'm gonna buy this one. There are different types of runners. There's heel strikers, toe strikers. If you don't have an arch, that'll change your sole in your shoe. So whether you need a barefoot shoe, a support shoe, a stability shoe, all these factors play in to picking a running shoe, especially if you're going to start running long distance. Okay, so in my town we have a store called Sole to Sole. They're a great, you know, small business, locally owned. I'm sure there's places everywhere you can find one, but here in my town it's called Sole to Sole. And what they do is they evaluate your arch, and then they'll evaluate your stride. So they'll put you on a treadmill and record you running, and they'll go over with you if you have any instabilities. So maybe an ankle is turning inward, or maybe one foot hits, you know, there's a bunch of different factors that go into it. So get measured. Now, if you don't have a store in your local area, what you can do is Brooks Running, they have an online kind of layout where you can figure out the same thing. So you can figure out what type of runner you are by a series of questions that they ask. So you'll just go onto their website, click on figuring out what type of shoe you need, go through the series of questions, and it'll pop up whether you're stability, support, or barefoot runner, and then they'll give you suggestions on shoes. Now you don't have to go through Brooks, but I do tend to like Brooks running shoes. I tend to go with the Pure Cadence. I've been running with the Pure Cadence for a few years now, and I really like it. Now, recently I just switched over to New Balance, and the reason why is because these are a little heavier, not as heavy as Asics or things like that, but for me, I like a really lightweight shoe. I am a stability runner, so I need a sole. So like I was telling you with the training shoes, the soles on running shoes are going to be a lot thicker in the back than they are on the front. This is, you know, once again, for that stride that you have. I just recently ran in these and I really like them. I tend to go one full size bigger in my running shoes. My training shoes, I'll alternate between half a size to a full size, but with my running shoes, they're always one full size bigger. Now, like I said, you can be a barefoot runner and run in 5 fingers. So it all depends on your stride. Get measured, get to know your foot, get to know yourself, so that you are not going in not knowing and having injuries that are unnecessary. Now, going into training shoes for powerlifting. Powerlifting is a lot different because different because we tend to need kind of specialized shoes where we have good stability, so that's where the Converse comes in. The Converse doesn't have very much flexibility, so it keeps our foot planted, as well as the lifting shoes, which are these right here, and I also have them in like a noble form, but they have it's basically like either wood or a really hard platform base, so those help with ankle stability, things like that. You're gonna really need to try out and see how your squat is, because depending on your squat, you'll know if you need a lifting shoe or if you can just squat in Converse. So I like to alternate just to keep my stability level pretty even, and I like to change shoes. So if you guys have any questions, shoot me an email, message me. I am happy to answer any questions that you guys have. I hope this helps. I will talk to you guys later. Bye.